everybody, and welcome back to the Drive Pink Dialogue. We're about 90 seconds, 120 seconds away from a 1-1 draw between NYCFC and Inter Miami. That is an awful way to finish the game. Inter Miami gives up a goal to James Sands in the final minute of stoppage time, and New York City FC is able to get the equalizer and go away with a 1-1 draw. The curse of Inter Miami against NYCFC continues. And so Inter Miami gets 1 point out of this game when it looked like for the last 15 or so minutes that they would get all 3 points. Leo Campana putting Inter Miami in the lead at the 75th minute with a goal tap in after an assist from Jordi Alba. I am still at something of a loss of words. Again, NYCFC gets the equalizer basically at the death. We didn't really get a view. There was some reason that Yannick Bright was on the ground. We didn't really get a view on how he ended up there, but obviously no VAR in a situation like that. So what happened in this game? We were really poor for a long time. And there was two contributing factors to this. Obviously, that field size is really, really small. And we talked about this a lot in the pregame. We talked about this over the last couple of days. When you get into this field, it is smaller than you think it is. It is harder to play in than you think it is. And that was certainly a factor. And then on top of that, the field was a little rough today. That isn't always the case there, but sometimes the field gets a little rough and it is hard to play. And I think there was a certain number of players on Inter Miami that certainly had a negative effect on. Just to go through the lineup quickly, I thought Toto Aviles had a really, really nice game. I thought Noah Allen had a really nice game. I thought Yannick Bright had a nice game. I thought Ian Frey was really, really, really good. I didn't think there was a lot else to be excited about from the starting 11. Jordi Alba, I thought, grew into the game. I think Jordi Alba, Luis Suarez, and Lionel Messi are three players that you sort of group together in a different tier of talent. And I thought Jordi Alba found his way to get into the game in a way that Suarez and Messi just didn't. And maybe we have Saur here. Anyways, until we get Saur figured out, I thought for Suarez and Messi, the biggest problem was the turf, especially for Suarez. He was really struggling. I thought Messi sort of figured out the turf, but he wasn't as aggressive as I would have liked him to be. I don't think he had a shot on goal, which is certainly not what you want considering how many times he touched the ball in and around the edge of the 18-yard box. And so for Messi, I think that was the biggest disappointment, was he just wasn't a little bit more aggressive. Suarez, I think, just wasn't able to get the ball under his control and had a number of poor touches and just was never really able to figure it out. Robert Taylor, I thought, struggled. One of the things that he does so well is get wide and then provide width. And of course, there was no width to provide. He started coming inside to try and give Jordi Alba an outlet to overlap, but he sort of took himself out of the game by doing that. Julian Gressel, I thought, had a solid first half, kind of indifferent second half. I didn't see him that much. Redondo, I thought, was the one player that was most impacted by the small field. We needed him to have that big game in the midfield, and he didn't have it. I thought he was the reason why we really struggled for the first 75 minutes, really poor. And then he has one good run, and it led to a goal. And so his very best moment of the game was starting the sequence that led to Inter Miami's goal. But for the 74 minutes before that, I thought he was really poor. And that's why we struggled so much in the midfield, at least from my perspective. To the back line, I thought Ian Frey was great. Again, I was really excited to see him high up the pitch in the first half. I thought in the first half he was exceptional, getting up the field and being dangerous high up the field when really no one in the final third was doing anything other than him. I think in the second half, there was a little bit of a tactical change to bring him a little bit deeper, and I thought it backfired. Either that or he was getting tired, but he wasn't playing as aggressively in the second half. Aviles and Noah Allen, I thought, were really, really good throughout the game. And then Drake Callender was fine. I think he did what we've come to expect from Drake Callender. The three players I really wanted to give credit to were Ian Frey, Noah Allen, and Yannick Bright. I thought after 2 or 3 minutes, you could tell that this was a game that we were really going to struggle to adapt to. And I thought those three young players, especially considering they're young players, did a phenomenal job of adapting. Yannick Bright, you could see, was not playing the first ball, but was expecting the receiver to take a bad touch and then started trying to get in position to intercept the bad touch as opposed to the initial interception. That's what I noticed from him after about 15 minutes. I thought Noah Allen also did a good job of adjusting. And then Ian Frey, again, he was just really, really impressive. Again, I don't understand why he doesn't start more at right back. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll get to the chat. I don't know says unbelievable, and I think my response is I don't know. So many yellow cards. I don't like blaming the refs. I will say that for the first 45 minutes, I thought the ref was consistent. And then there was a 15 to 20 minute period in the second half, maybe even less than maybe 10 to 15 minutes, where he got really, really heavy or light on the whistle. And he was not calling things that he was calling in the first half. He kind of returned to that later on in the second half after things got out of control. But there was a 15-minute period where I thought he had really, he had really sort of lost sight of how he was refereeing this game. Taran says, this team cannot win MLS Cup now, I realize. One thing I will say, we didn't have Sergio Busquets. Busquets, I think, would have made a huge difference. Again, I really thought Redondo had a poor game, especially for those first 75 minutes. And if you replace him with Busquets, I think we would have been much better in the midfield. We lost the midfield today. I think that's probably the easiest way to say it. We said we had more of a 4-4-2. And instead of having a good three-man balance where guys can interchange and stuff, we had Gressel playing on the right, Robert Taylor playing on the left. And that is not conducive to winning in the midfield like this, especially when Yannick Bright, for as good as he is defensively, isn't really that ball progressor. With that said, I thought he was more creative in trying to progress the ball than Federico Redondo was in this game. Again, I just really thought it was a poor first 75 for Redondo. And I thought that was sort of proven because when he had his first really good moment, it led to a goal immediately. Tony says NYCFC was the better team throughout. I think that's hard to argue with. They were really good. I'm going to see if I can get the XG numbers. I mean, they out XG'd us. It was similar in terms of possession. They had 17 shots. We had 6. Along that line, I think it was a disappointing performance from Messi. Again, there was just so many times where he touched the ball sort of right at the edge of the final third. And aside from the free kick shot he had, I don't think he had a shot on goal. And there was a number of times where it was like, just fire one off because you have the unique ability to actually pull some of those shots off, even if there is, bodies in the way. The pitch does not work for IMCF. Yeah, I thought Peaches. I thought the pitch was a bigger deal than the length of the field, even though the width of the field was clearly impacting guys like Robert Taylor, guys like Julian Gressel. Sean says Allen had man of the match again. Frey second, Aviles third. Those are my 3 best players, and I thought Yannick Bright was 4th. And then Campana also, when he came on in the second half. Kramaski came on, didn't really do much, but wasn't on for very long. Peaches says, also too many yellow cards for simple reasons. Players lacking discipline, making it harder for this season overall. The disappointing part of that is it comes from the veterans. I think one of the disappointing takeaways is it was the veterans that really struggled in this game. It was, and not to incite any violence or anything, but I thought it was Suarez and Jordi Alba and Gressel and Messi that really struggled, and Robert Taylor, Redondo, who I know is not a veteran, but those were the guys that I really thought struggled to get into this game. It was the young guys that I thought were the most impressive. Terrible field, terrible camera angle, Miami King. For those that don't know, NYCFC is going to get a new stadium. I believe it's supposed to open in 2028. So the days of playing in Yankee Stadium are going to end, but not for the next little while. Silo says, we give up a lead in the final minutes. Unbelievably incompetent defense. Yeah. We never were really able to control the possession in the midfield. And so it's very difficult to kill off games when you can't control possession in the midfield. That's just my take on it. Guys, for those that weren't here for the pregame show, Saur is at the game. He is trying to join us, but it's, I think, pretty loud there in the stadium still. So maybe he'll get to us in a few minutes. Maybe not. Oh, Here we go. How'd you feel about it, man?
I don't know what to say, man. I need to compose my thoughts for a little bit. Wasn't good. Wasn't good at all. Defensively, we were very good, actually. Large parts of it. I think you've already mentioned Ian Frey, Noah Allen, fantastic. For me, Aviles, man, I thought he had an immense game. Might not have come across during the game, but he played so well. But I'll get to it. Go through the chat. I don't know how my connection is. I want to make sure everyone gets their thoughts in. But overall, we were quite poor offensively. Midfield was not great either. I think Bright was okay. In the last 10, 15 minutes, he was much better. Redondo, very bad, very, very bad. Gresso had a good game as well. Messi, Suarez, quite invisible. Jordi Alba did some good things from time to time, but not as good as we expect him to be. Just, I think NYCFC deserved that last goal, honestly. It was coming.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with. Again, I don't know if you heard me say this, but they had 17 shots. We only had 6. So it's tough. I know that the fans are probably clearing out of there. So I'm sure as the minutes go by, it'll become less noisy on your end, and you'll probably get a better connection as people, leave the stadium and get off the Wi-Fi. But stick with us. I'll get through some of the comments, and we'll come back to you in a minute. Miami King says it's a shame it's in NYC, and as Saur put out in the chat, we still haven't beat NYCFC. The curse continues. Miami King says, why no replay for someone that fell onto the ground before that last goal? I would have liked to see a real replay. I think it's hard to take away a goal on what probably ended up being a ticky-tack foul. Again, I haven't seen the real replay, but I think VAR would have really struggled to take a goal in that moment off the board. But again, Oirad says, live already. Damn, I'm still upset. Yeah, well, part of the reason we want to do this immediately after the game is to get the emotions of it, We will do a full game breakdown tomorrow night, or possibly Monday because Saur's traveling, but and we'll watch the game over and have a much more balanced and cool head when we talk about everything and have seen some, different eyes. But for right now, I think it's just all emotion, and we want to share that with you. Tony says Frey, man of the match. I agree, and especially in that first half, he was immense. I don't understand why he doesn't start at right back every time he's available, because he's just a better player than Cello, and I don't even mean that as a shot at Cello. He's just, every time he plays at right back, he's dangerous, he's creative, he's fearless, he gets up the field, he makes plays happen, he can cut inside and be dangerous for the shot, he can get wide to the baseline and put in a cross, and he just offers things in the opponent half of the field, opposition half of the field that Cello just doesn't. And I just, it was good to see it again, but it's going to be more frustrating to see Cello back in the starting lineup next weekend, which I'm so confident it will be. Sean says Redondo was lost and a ghost all game. Go back and watch the play where Campana scores, and it starts with a nice run, a nice carry by Federico Redondo, and that was the first good moment he had in the entire game, and it led to a goal. Him not playing well, I thought was what Inter Miami was missing this entire game. I would have taken him off in the 68th minute for Cremaschi or Ruiz. Tata left him on, and he rewarded him with a good carry, and I thought he had another good carry a couple minutes later that didn't lead to anything. But disappointing game from Redondo. Bright Silo says Bright has not been himself in the last 2 games. This is what happens when kids start thinking they're irreplaceable, taking his place for granted. That is not what I saw at all. I'll be honest with you. I thought he was one of the first to adjust to the pitch. I thought he was really good in this game. I thought he was trying to be a ball progressor. I know he doesn't have the talent of Busquets to progress the ball, but and especially in comparison to Redondo, I just thought he did so much more. But I will rewatch the game, and maybe I'll have a different opinion when we do the full game breakdown. Ikem says, this was an absolutely bad week in disgusting stadiums. So disappointing. Yes, we will be back next weekend for the Charlotte game. That's in Chase Stadium. Then a trip to Columbus midweek. That's going to be an awesome environment, an awesome game. Then the following weekend at BMO Field in Toronto. So next week we'll be in a much better environment, I think. But I agree, these are 2 not fun to go to road trips. Miami King says Gomez needs to be back ASAP. I thought he would have been really immense in the midfield today. One of the things you saw from Keaton Parks and James Sands, where they were just physical and everywhere in the midfield in a way that we just were struggling to be. And I think if you dropped Gomez in for Redondo in this game, we would have been much better. Torrance says my man of the match is Allen and Frey. hard to argue with. I thought Aviles was really good. I thought Campana was, didn't put a foot wrong when he came on. AC says, not going to lie, that game was frustrating to watch. Couldn't agree more. Miami King says, integration of Messi issue. This was the first one I thought was on Messi. I thought he wasn't aggressive enough. He got the ball a number of times in the final third. And again, I think I keep saying he didn't get any shots off, but I think that's just like the most obvious way to see that he wasn't aggressive enough. But, he settled into the field. Like the field was bad. I thought Messi did a good job of figuring out how to play on this field in a way that like Suarez didn't, but he was never able to like turn that into offensive production. But I didn't think it was the same problem we had last time where we were just force feeding him too much. Maybe a little bit in the first half. Oirad says, we didn't play good. We could never consider the draw lucky, but I still feel mad. I think the thing about these last two games is they were wins that turned into draws, which makes them feel like losses, right? An 84th minute goal against Atlanta, and then this game where we give up the goal in the 95th minute to finish with a 1-1 draw. So it feels like a loss, and it feels so much less worthwhile. AZ says Martinez was out and Gomez was out. And we don't know when they're coming back, so that is tough. Peaches says Busquets is literally a game changer. Absolutely, and congratulations to him. I guess he got engaged over the last couple of days, so congratulations. But as Saur would have said, I can't believe he thinks getting engaged is more important than supporter shield. Kidding, of course. Redondo has nothing we saw before on the offensive side. I will say, I think Redondo needs to be playing at the edge of the final third because I think he can be a player that makes those final runs into the box and gets those tap-ins, gets those headers as sort of a guy running out of the midfield. And I also think he's good at pressing high up the pitch. But I think when where we play him, it's not where he's most effective. And Tata runs him out there every time, which can be frustrating, especially after we saw David Ruiz get a goal last game, and Kramaski I thought was fine. And so I don't know. And then again, Redondo did reward him by leaving him in there. He does start the play that led to our goal, which could have been the game-winning goal. So, good and bad, right? It's like Busquets can have it's like Suarez can have a bad game, but if he gets the goal in the 90th minute, then it was worthwhile keeping him on there. And I thought it was sort of a similar experience with Redondo today. I agree. No Biscuit in the last two games to me was a big miss. Busquets. Miami King says Messi is not sharp yet. I think it's where we've played and who we've played. I think he'll be fine when we go up against Charlotte next week. Saur in the chat says too many touches from Messi. He overplayed it multiple times. I'll have to rewatch it. That wasn't really my impression, but I'll have to rewatch it. Peaches says, I thought we were pretty good defensively overall, but lacked progressive passes due to NYCFC shutting everything down. So fair play to them, but IMCF had no answer to it. Well, the answer was Redondo, and he didn't really come through. So Oirad says, new stadium in 2027. That's probably NYCFC Stadium. So perfect. One last game we have to play at Yankee Stadium. SD says, is taking longer than expected for Miami to adapt to Messi, but we will be better for the playoffs. Ruiz could have made a more positive impact if he came in along Benha. Suarez looks uncomfortable on the field. I do wonder. I wondered if there was a time where Suarez should come off because he just wasn't able to adjust to the turf, and there are times where he gets more frustrated, and you could see it's getting to him. But if he's the guy that gets you that 90th minute goal, then of course it's worth keeping it on. So I get it both ways. Peaches says connection solid. The match 5 out of 10. Wi-Fi 10 out of 10. I think Saur is trying to connect right now, and the Wi-Fi is maybe like a 0 out of 10 for him. The dude says we lost 2 matches in a row. The scores were both draws, but we lost XG, most of the other parameters. Yeah, and I think if you look back on that Philadelphia game, we won 3-1, but there was a lot to critique in terms of the performance. So, you get a week off now, and hopefully they come back better. You have the talent to blow out all of these teams. Today may be an exception because of the field, because of the dimensions, but it's tough, man. Adi says Messi is the best. In general, he usually is. Yes, that's true. Messi TV says awful game generally, emotions everywhere, and the ref didn't help the matter. I agree. I think I hate blaming the ref, and I hate blaming emotions. So I'm going to wait until I rewatch the game to really, dive into that. But you can definitely see the emotions were flying, especially at one point in that second half. We got like 5 or 6 yellow cards in a matter of like 4 minutes of gameplay, 2 of which went to an assistant coach. So Ash says Inter Miami doesn't seem like a well-coached team. Yes. Just going to let that one linger for a second. Tony says Atlanta on turf and NYCFC on a baseball field were always going to be the hardest games. I agree. We have a game at Columbus, and they are a much better team in terms of quality, but I agree. These 2 games were going to be the toughest. And then Columbus, out of our 4 remaining games, I think is certainly going to be the most difficult. Tony says, I'm more confident in their ability to beat Charlotte and Columbus. Makes sense. Miami Muma says, you need to chill. 1 point on the road is not bad. Plus, the field is not a regular size soccer field. Last year, Miami was second to last. We are top of the table. Shut up. Fair. If that's how you want, if that's how you feel, that absolutely makes sense. I will not criticize that at all. And I am jealous that you are enjoying this 1 point more than I am. And I think if you're a fan and you can enjoy getting that point on the road, like more power to you, because it makes being a fan more fun. And so I certainly appreciate that. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Peaches responds, I said, I kind of agree in this fan base. There's a lot of entitlement for a team that finished in the bottom of the last season. I will say, just in defense, if this was last year, we would have been thrilled to get that 1 point at NYCFC. I mean, I remember us losing because, our midfield had Gregory and Stefanelli and Jean Mota, and Gregory got hurt, and we thought the season was over because he got a long-term injury, and Christoph and Chris McVeigh were our center back pairing, and that wasn't particularly effective, and we had to go get Kamal Miller because Chris McVeigh was not getting the job done. So I remember those times, but obviously we have Messi on the field, so we should feel like we should win every game, is how I feel about it, or at least most of these games. Tony says, I've always maintained that Taylor is a huge drop-off from Gomez. Interesting. I don't think Taylor was put in a position to succeed today. We played more of a 4-4-2, and I think he needs to be high up on that left wing, trying to spread the back line out. Really hard to spread the back line out when the field is so narrow. And also Taylor was playing more inside today to try and give room for Jordi Alba to be that channel down the left side. And it didn't really come off for Taylor, but it is what it is. All right. I blame it on Campana. His necessary tackle led to the free kick, which led to the corner and goal. Well, he also got the goal that gave us a 1-1 draw. So, without him, we would have gotten 0 points possibly. And Tony says he did that because Allen was injured. Certainly that was to get an opportunity for Allen to get off the field or recover or get treatment or whatever he needed. That wasn't just for the sake of doing it. And he was desperate to stop the clock. Miami Muma, we have injured players just coming back from the injury, players who need a rest. My gosh, can't we be satisfied with 2 points on the road? Yes, and again, I'm very happy for you if that's your impression. So, what's up, Saur?
Well, I got kicked out of the stadium because they weren't letting anyone stay there. So I had to find myself somewhere to park up, and I literally found a park. So I don't think I'm a big fan of New York, especially after today.
What were your thoughts, man? What was the experience like?
The experience was great. New York fans were very annoying. I did not enjoy sitting next to a bunch of New York fans. I felt like it just started off really well for us. We were okay, and then New York got the better of us for a majority of the game. The goal shot everyone up, which was fantastic, and I thought we were actually going to scrape a win, and I would have been happy with that. But as it turns out, we lost again towards the end. And again, this draw feels like a loss because conceding at the last moment was very, very pathetic. I thought there might have been a foul in there somewhere in the middle of the
we didn't get a really good replay on that in the broadcast either. So tough. Joey says, dude said that Gressel had a good game. He was awful. Suarez is not a good player at all. He can't move at all. He's so bad. He's just an amazing goal scoring touch. Messi created the goal. Listen, I thought Gressel was fine in the first half. And again, I thought he created space for Ian Frey to be dangerous down the right side. And also there was a point where everyone was really struggling to just get control of the ball up the field. And I thought Gressel was just a smooch better at that than Messi and Suarez and Alba. But I agree in the second half, I didn't think he did much. And again, we'll rewatch the game. Suarez did not have a good game. He was really struggling with the pitch. And so that's just my opinion. Peach is responding to Oirad. At the same time, he did score the goal, but yeah, it was a bad tackle. Should have left it up to the back line, which I think did well overall. He says he just had to blame someone. Campana played well. Mirna says, as a unit, Miami was not cohesive nor consistent. What a disappointment. Didn't defend well the last 4 minutes of play. NYC gave them a run for their money. I think we are still adjusting to Messi. All excellent points. One of the things that I think is somehow eludes Tata Martino, and I think it's very clear to see, is that we struggle so much in the midfield. And sometimes we struggle because we don't have enough quality on the ball. Sometimes we struggle because we don't have enough athleticism to defend defensively. And again, in this game, we didn't have enough quality on the ball. And I think Tata thinks Federico Redondo solved that problem, and it doesn't feel like he does. And I think that's why you feel like you're not playing well, or the team's not playing consistently, or they can't dominate possession, because you're not winning the midfield consistently enough. And I thought today.
I heard you say Redondo had a good run for the goal. I didn't see that. I thought Messi had a really good run for the goal.
It was to
Alba.
Yeah, Redondo made the run to put the ball at Messi's feet. So he makes the run, gets the ball to Messi. Maybe it was a good pass, actually. I don't know. I have to rewatch it. But I just remember thinking that this was the best moment of Redondo's game. And then 7 seconds later, we score a goal. And I think maybe even just my standards were so low for him at that point. Maybe that's how I'm remembering it. But Ash says another game where we had a miracle non-goal that usually goes in 99% of the time. Do you remember that?
No, is he talking about our goal or their goal?
I'm not sure. Ash, remind us what that was, because I'm forgetting. Miami Muma says Boosie was not on the field, so Redondo could not play higher up the pitch. True, but we also had a 4-man midfield. Go ahead.
That's another thing that I was looking at. I think Redondo played very deep, especially in the first half. He was sitting deeper than Bright was, and I don't know what that was about, but he was very ineffective in that role when he was sitting that far deep.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like that's what he normally does often, right? And that's how Tata sees him. Like, he doesn't see him as a guy he wants playing in the final third or the edge of the final third. He feels like a guy that's supposed to be the partner of the six, whether it's Busquets or whether it's Bright. He feels like he's supposed to be the six's partner, not like a guy that's playing sort of in the opposition half. But I don't know. Bright can't make forward passes at all. Okay. I think I will say one thing in Bright's favor. He's trying them now in a way he wasn't trying them before. And so you can kind of see the Busquetsness rubbing off on him. And he was
our most commanding midfielder. He really grew into the game, and the last 10-12 minutes, I thought he was phenomenal on the pitch. We were blocking them out, and they didn't have too many chances in the second half towards the end. And unfortunate that we conceded the foul that we did, which led to the corner, which led to the goal. But I thought he really grew into the game, and it feels like towards the end of the game is when everyone else sort of tapers down because of stamina, and that's when Bright starts to rise up a lot more, and you can actually see how much he's better compared to the rest of the people on the pitch.
There was a moment in the first half, I don't know if you remember this, but Bright plays a ball over the top to Ian Frey, who's making a diagonal run into the box. And it's off by about 3 feet. But after, and of course you don't know this, but on the broadcast, Taylor Twellman's like, you should have just played that ball to Julian Gressel. And I'm thinking to myself, this would have been a goal if he was a little bit more clinical and Frey make it a great run. It was an absolutely amazing play that you want to see from a 22-year-old that's only started 20 games. That's the progression of Yannick Bright, and one day he will make those passes and they will lead to goals. I
know exactly what you're referring to. I think it was given offside, but that would have been I was very surprised with that over the top ball, and it was so perfectly put in place, and you could see that his vision has improved a lot more as he started playing more.
It felt to me like the right decision, even if it didn't exactly come off. I don't know. One day Suarez might bite someone.
I will say Suarez was not a popular player in the stadium for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Avila's yellow card was so avoidable. Dude just wanted to yap. Well, listen, he hadn't gotten a yellow card yet, so he felt left out, right? Everyone was getting yellow cards, and he wanted one too.
As soon as he got that yellow card, I shouted out. I got up and shouted, "Not again, Toto!" And everyone around me just looked at me as though I was an idiot. But it was just so unnecessary. And that followed with a sequence of every single player in our defense getting a yellow card. It was awful. It was so terrible to watch.
Sean says it's the front office's promise about, whether we should be happy with the 1-1 draw on the road. This is true. They went out of their way to say, we want to win 4 trophies this year. That was the standard they set for themselves. The front office, the team, the players, the coach. That's what they said at the beginning of the year. And so, yes, they're going to probably win the Supporters' Shield. I think that race is probably over, but they haven't been playing like MLS Cup champions over the last couple games. So we want them to be MLS Cup champions. They want to be MLS Cup champions. And so I think we all need to hold each other to this MLS Cup champion standard. And at the end of the year, if it doesn't happen, we'll look back and enjoy all the amazing goals. But for now, let's push for it. Peaches says, most of those yellows were totally avoidable. Kind of sad. Absolutely. Mark says, I felt Ruiz should have subbed on for Redondo, piggybacking off of what you said earlier, that he did indeed struggle for 75 minutes and his best play led to the goal. But after that, it was more of the same. I agree. Tell me what you thought, Saur. My subs at the 60th minute would have been Campana on for Taylor, Kramaski on for Gressel, and Ruiz on for Redondo. Get some fresh and different profiles in the midfield, fresh legs and different profiles in the midfield. And I thought we would have been much better. They came much later. And fortunately, Campana led to a goal, but the subs just came too late again.
That Campana sub for Robert Taylor was actually really good. I really like that sub. I thought Campana brought a lot more to that front line that Messi and Suarez were missing. He had a little bit of bite. He was defending really well, and he was making those run-ins that were actually, creating some sort of opportunities. And he was playing on that left side, but for the goal, he was central. So he was really moving around a lot. And then, I agree with you. I think Ruiz could have been brought on for Redondo. I will say this was the first time I've seen Redondo play live, and he doesn't move as smoothly as you would expect someone in the number 6 position. And his ball control was off for a few times. It just didn't feel like he was comfortable in that position or just comfortable playing there. Maybe it's the turf. I don't know what it was, but and when you look at the players in the back line with Aviles, Allen, and Frey, I think we've spoken enough about them today. They were so smooth and they were very confident. The back line looked very, very good.
Can I get your opinion on which the thing that was my biggest what to watch for in the pregame show, which was Ian Frey overlapping on that right side with Lionel Messi creating space for him. I thought Ian Frey was really, really good, but I wanted to get your perspective.
Phenomenal. I think the biggest offensive asset we had was Ian Frey. And not even that, the defensive side of things was absolutely spot on. He was very good today.
Silo says, come on, guys. Campana had a tap in. Messi did all the work, and Alba made a brilliant pass. Campana had a tap in and fouled in the dying minutes that eventually led to a goal. If Campana hadn't been there, then there would have been no tap in, and they had 75 minutes to create that without him on the pitch. So one of the things, Campana and Suarez are different types of strikers, and they can complement each other well if they're on the field together. And so that's why I thought it was a really good substitute. Get Campana higher up the pitch, take Robert Taylor off, who was sort of ineffective where he was in the midfield. And because of that, Suarez can still do the playmaking thing he was trying to do, which wasn't really coming off because he was not doing a great job of getting control of the ball. But and then Campana can make those runs in behind, and then it exists and it works. And then you have the players that can make it happen. But you're right. Messi set that up. Alba had the assist. And then again, Redondo's best play of the game was to lead that whole play off. Messi fraud. Is that what your impression was your first time seeing him this year?
No, I think he looked a little bit a step behind than he normally does. I thought it might have been a little bit to do with the pitch itself, and he was again not as comfortable. But I do think he should be fine. He should be okay.
I thought Messi was okay. I wanted him to just whip a few of those shots in, and he dumped them off to Suarez a number of times, and then Suarez mishandled it.
And that's
So
what I was saying about him overplaying. It just felt like there were a couple of opportunities that he had in the first half where he sort of got into a really good position in front of the box. And I thought normally he would have taken a shot there.
yeah, me too.
But he just kept dribbling past, and after that, the opportunity was lost. So that's what I meant by overplaying it a little bit. And
Yeah.
his passing was also a little bit off from time to time. But I think once he got his mojo, there was an instance where the yellow card thing happened where a lot of our players got booked over the course of 5 minutes. And then you could see like the team became a little bit riled up. And that's when Messi started to get on the ball more. I think it's going to come. He's just a little bit off pace right now.
Ash, when he was talking about the goal we should have had, he's talking about the goal that Taylor blocked because he was in the wrong, not in the wrong position, but just sort of an unlucky play. You're absolutely right. I forgot about that. I think that was Suarez, maybe. That would have changed everything, man. Oirat asked a question to you, man. More NYC fans or Messi IMCF fans at this game?
It's a bit of a difficult question to answer because Argentina shirts also look like NYCFC colors. So I wasn't really sure. There were quite a few pink shirts, and around me it was a mix of both. But I will say when Inter Miami scored, it was loud in the stadium. It was very loud.
Can I ask you a question? Because my experience since Messi arrived, when I go to away games, is that there are a lot of Messi fans, and they wear Inter Miami shirts, they wear Argentina shirts, but then they cheer for the home team because they're actually from New York, but they wanted to celebrate Messi or see Messi or whatever. So they wore the Messi shirt, but they actually cheered for NYCFC. Did you get that sense or not really?
No, I think the New York fans are very loyal in the sense that they're not going to wear the opposition's jersey, at least in the stadium.
Maybe not Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, maybe not Yankee Stadium. So that's why I think when there was a New York fan, they were a New York fan, not a Messi fan. But yeah, overall a good experience though, good atmosphere.
Yeah, Gabriella says at least we don't have to see Redondo next week as he's suspended. Did he get a yellow card today? I don't think he got a yellow card.
No, I don't think so. I think he was one of the few players who didn't get a yellow card.
Yeah, he is on a yellow card accumulation, but he needs a week off, man. He needs a game off, not to rest, but just to say, listen, you can lose your spot if you don't play well. And if it's David Ruiz or Kramaski, or in my opinion, I think it should be Diego Gomez. If they play well, they should keep the spot. Yeah. Ash says maybe Redondo's better suited to another role. I absolutely think he's better suited to another role. He needs to be playing high up the pitch. He is good on the ball. He can connect passes, but the defensive work, he's just such a liability at. He's not good at positioning. He's not great at dribbling or passing out of pressure unless he has space, and he can be turnover prone. He's very long, so he wins balls that way, but I think he's best high up the pitch, being pressing high up the pitch and being that guy that can make those late runs into the box and creating offense. And that's exactly what he did that game against, I believe, Toronto, where we wore the blue kits, where he had 2 goals. SD says, will Gomez and Martinez be back for the next game? We need them badly. I believe Gomez will be back. I do not believe Martinez will be back. And the Messi TV reminds us that next week there's 3 games again. So we have the next 6 days off, and then we go Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday before the October international break. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button. I haven't asked yet, but it is so kind. We do this just to have this emotional reaction with you guys and see how you're feeling. Let out our feelings, whether it's group therapy or a group celebration. That's sort of why we do the instant reaction. We will be back probably Monday night to do like a full game breakdown. We'll analyze it, we'll rewatch it, we'll get a sense for what actually happened and what performances were worth talking about and what weren't. But we'd like to do it right after just to get a feel for the vibe. And so do us a favor, hit the like button because it helps the channel grow. So any last words before we wrap it up for today?
No, man, this 6-game run isn't shaping up to be that good. Not as good as we thought it would be. 2 draws back-to-back is very, very frustrating, and the team needs to have a bit of a reset. The next 3-4 games are going to be very difficult. They're not going to be easy by any means. Charlotte, then Columbus, and then Toronto. So it's a big next week, man. We need to figure things out, and hopefully we can, because there's a lot on the line for the next couple of weeks.
Yes, and unfortunately, there's no get-right game until the week before the playoffs. But anyways, guys, like I said, we'll be back in the next 48 hours to talk about this game in more depth and, the details that we always like to give, and we'll talk about the tactics, and we'll give out some awards. But until then, Saur, thank you for making time for us in the chat. Thank you for being here with us. Being with you guys is again, I always say this, but it's the most fun part of doing any of this, is just interacting with you guys. So I really appreciate it. And other than that, we will see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of your weekend, and go watch some college football or something.